Thank you. Woo! What we have here is a KS Tune throttle body bracket for Nitrous. It's not only a Nitrous, but it also has a fuel feed right there. Before anything, I just want to say a huge thank you to Travis for hooking me up with this. He told me he had this and thought that it would be really good for the Nitrous build, especially since I just got the Nitrous kit right there in the back of the garage. And I was just working on a few things on the car right now. I was mocking out my coil on plug kit from Burton Racing, and I hard bolted the manifold finally on. And now I'm gonna take the throttle body and bolt this on and finally mock everything up for the fuel and nitrous system. All right, so very quickly, I hooked up what will be our Purge solenoid. This is what the old kit was using as the nitrous feed, but I want to get a matching bigger solenoid for the nitrous. This is for the fuel. Basically, it just threads onto the bottom of this spacer plate right here from KS Tuned, and it sprays the nitrous and fuel through these little holes right there, right behind the throttle body. So I'm gonna run to the hardware store real quick and grab some longer bolts because these are just barely enough to reach the top of the manifold. So we're gonna need something about, I wanna say maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wider, or longer. So I'll just get a little bit longer, and I believe the top two can go about 1 inch out of the flange. Yeah, these can keep on coming, so it doesn't matter how long those are really. The bottom one, I'm gonna have to get like a precise measurement as well as the bottom left. So I'll probably get about 3/4 of an inch longer, and that should be good. And after that, I just wanna mock a few things up. We also have for the fuel, this is for the fuel filter that's gonna be in the engine bay. If you guys follow the last couple videos, I mentioned that I'm gonna have a fuel filter right off of the fuel cell and then one in the engine bay right before the rail. So this is a -8 female to male, and in the center it has a 1/8 NPT threaded hole. So in this case, it's going to be our fuel feed for the nitrous kit. So essentially this right here, I'm just gonna get a male to male adapter and plug that right there. Or I could even just get a 1/8 line and do it straight off of the solenoid, 1/8 fitting, and then to a line to right there, make it nice and direct, really easy. And then we'll have the good fuel feed for the nitrous solenoid. And then this will in turn, well, what's going to replace this will in turn go to the nitrous bottle. Throttle body is off. As you can see, the bolt is much too short. What we're gonna do, we're gonna run to the hardware store and basically measure out what excess of a bolt is by the throttle body and get one that matches the width of the spacer and has the same excess on the other side of the spacer using the same thread pitch as well. Nothing crazy, we just wanna make sure that this is like as precise as possible for this. That way the bolts are all matching, and they have to be Allen head bolts like this without a flange, because the throttle body on the bigger ones like that is a little bit too wide, doesn't have much of a clearance for a flanged bolt to sit there. Like for example, a bolt like this, the flange or the washer, as you will, would be way too big to be able to clear the actual throttle body itself. M8 by 60. Unfortunately, they're freaking $1.79 each, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. This is how it sits. And worst case scenario for the bottom ones, if it bottoms out, I can always run a couple spacers at the top, or just a few washers, so it kind of gives self-clearance, I guess you could say. But these are perfect for what we need. And like we mentioned earlier, it doesn't have a flange on it since it is an Allen bolt head, or head bolt, whatever you want to call it. So it doesn't run into the side of the throttle body. Got plenty of clearance right there. The bottom ones aren't as important since they do have a little area for flange to sit, but the top ones most definitely are very important to have good clearance with them. Okay, we are back home. One thing I wanted to say, I hate this time of year. It's like 20 minutes ago, it was super bright, and now it's dark as heck. Anyways, we're back home. I have both of my throttle body gaskets right here. I'm gonna stick one onto the manifold side and then one to the back of the plate. Well, manifold, gasket, plate, gasket, throttle body, using the necessary hardware that we just picked up. And that'll be the final bolt down of this. Although I might actually take it off in a couple days to put the lines back on. Right now, I have pretty much everything to hook up the lower lines right here on the nitrous part for the throttle body. But then to go to the solenoids and to the feed of the fuel, I'm gonna have to get a few more fittings to finish that up, but at least the plate will be on, which is awesome. We're super happy to be running this. So I'm just gonna bolt this on real quick and show you guys how it looks with the spacer and everything. All right, I got the spacer nitrous plate bolted on. I really like how it comes out. It looks really cool on there. And then when you open the throttle body, boom. You see it perfectly right there. You can actually still see the knife edge that I did on the runners on the port, which is pretty cool. And I love this. My buddy just texted me. He saw that I got this, and he's like, you should run 2 kits. Do this one off the throttle body and then a direct port on top of it and have 100 shot on each. Not saying I won't do it, but that's kind of crazy. What do you guys think? 100 shot, 200 shot, 100 and 100? Let's talk about it in the comments. But yeah, that's on there. These bolts, much too short. Those bolts, perfect. They don't even come out, so they were like the perfect length right there. All right, so real quick, I drilled a couple holes in the firewall and have the engine bay fuel filter lined up. I also have that adapter right there for the actual fuel feed off of the nitrous kit. And then I have a 90 off of there and a 90 off the fuel rail. I know it's not 100% straight, but the play in the line itself will actually make that really clean. I could have done it with this 45 right there, but that would have came out a little bit more than I wanted. If I would have had 2 and I could have made like a half moon right there, that would have been fine, but I think the 90 to 90 is gonna look pretty good. I have this fuel kit, and it came with a whole bunch of fittings as well as some line. So we have this AN line right here. It's like nylon braided, and I'm gonna be using, if I can find this, these cutters right here to get a nice clean cut on them and with no fraying, and then be able to start making the line. It should be about like a foot on there from the filter to the rail. So not too much cutting, but just at least to do that one line and then see how it fits from there. And then I'll actually start doing the rest of the car from the front towards the back. All right, I've got, like I said, the 90 off of there, 90 off of here, and a little line right there. It's not too curved, it's just about perfect, and still has, you know, its play, so it can be moved and modified and whatnot. For the coolant lines, I only need 1 of these since I have the side port plugged off right there. So what I'm probably gonna do is cap off this one right here and then run the line right there to the head itself. That way I have more clearance on the side that's closest to the actual fuel line. Not that it really matters, I just wanna have the lines a little bit as far as possible. Now off of the feed to the fuel filter inside of the engine bay, I have that little 45 that's just gonna go right down and then under the car, make sure that it's away from the drive shaft and whatnot. And here's basically the feed from the fuel to the fuel solenoid right there. One thing that I'm looking at right now, the length on the feed right here to the feed right here is about the same, but given that the throttle body is exactly where we need the feed to go, kind of playing with a few ideas of how I'm gonna mount this, if I'm gonna have this go straight down and then loop the line or something, or I might just get a shorter line altogether. That way I don't have a huge cluster of lines that are unnecessary. I was even thinking maybe off of this, just get an adapter off the solenoid to make it sit right on the adapter right there, like the little T. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it, but I'm kind of playing with some ideas right now. And yeah, so this is the part that goes to the actual spacer on the throttle body right down here. If it'll focus, right there. So however I can play with that, I'm gonna see in just a little bit. So one great thing about keeping a whole bunch of fuel fittings and NPT fittings and whatnot from old builds, I always try to keep as many as I can as backups because you never know what you're gonna need. I actually found a male to male piece that's 1/8 NPT, which threads in perfectly to this splitter and then to the nitrous solenoid. Then off of that, just curves right there. goes exactly on the plate where we need it. Obviously, this is just a rough mock-up without any tape or anything for the NPT, but I think that right there is going to be probably the best way to mount it. This is just very loosely bolted on the filter bracket, and it already feels pretty sturdy, and I know that once we bolt that down all the way, all the way, it's going to be really secure. So right from the looks of it right there, I think that that's going to be the final actual mounting for the fuel solenoid, which is pretty awesome. I actually really like how it looks, and the functionality of it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Not that we're trying to hide the nitrous at all, because, you know, a lot of people know the build, especially around this town. They're going to know that I'm running nitrous. But I think it's pretty cool that it's not going to be like super notable, especially because we're probably going to be tucking this wire in right here, but there's going to be a nice big old intake pipe right there. And that's going to basically cover the whole nitrous setup on the fuel side, at least. Obviously, we're still going to be doing a nitrous line for nitrous itself, but not the fuel line. So it's going to not only look a little bit tucked, but it's going to look a lot cleaner than having just fittings and solenoids somewhere over here and then back in towards the throttle body area. So I really like it right there. And it still gives us plenty of room to play with the wires for the solenoid itself, so we can run them through one of these holes or loop them in with the harness and make it look all clean and whatnot. Not that this build is going for super clean, but the cleanness that we can mount something is always, you know, the best way to do it. And it doesn't look like a big kink or anything on the line. It's just a nice loop under the manifold and goes straight back up. Like best case scenario in the future, I could probably just get like a 6 or 7 inch line to go from there straight up to the throttle body. But for the time being, just for mocking things up, I think that looks really good. Before we actually get too involved and in depth with the nitrous, obviously I still don't have a nitrous solenoid. This is what I'm going to be using for the Purge. Now, just for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to pretend that this is the nitrous solenoid that we're going to be using to inject into the system itself. So off of this, we have one line going straight to the throttle body plate. I think it looks pretty good right there. And then this line also goes back to the nitrous bottle. Obviously, like I said, that's not going to be the official setup. We're going to be running off of the bottle to basically a T. And there's diagrams that you can look online to see how a Purge system actually works. But we're going to have to the Purge and then a line out somewhere. And then off of that Purge to the actual solenoid. And then to the solenoid to the throttle body plate right there, which we don't have yet. But I just wanted to kind of mock it up and see what it's going to look like with 2 lines actually going to the throttle body. And I really like it. I can't be happy enough with how this is looking. And I can't wait to put this big old bottle to use. All right, so I'm actually going to take a break off of the CRX at the moment. I got done with running the line from the fuel filter inside of the engine bay in reverse towards the back of the car. Just kind of like a loose mock-up. I was thinking of putting the fuel filter and the fuel pump on the back of the car, but then I was thinking like a dummy, if I get rear-ended, that's all going to be instant explosion, basically. Obviously, I hope I don't get rear-ended, but I'm thinking of worst-case scenario. So that mock-up is obviously going to be taken off. I think I'm going to do it like through not through it, but by the frame rail on this side right here, probably somewhere in this area down below. That way it's like not in a direct contact area. But we're going to finish that tomorrow. I don't want to go too much in depth right now. My buddy is over at his house right now waiting for me, Khalid's. So I'm going to head over to his house, and we're going to stop on the CRX for the rest of the night, go over there, hang out for a bit, and then tomorrow morning we can pick back up on the CRX fuel system. All right, so we're back the next morning. I'm playing with a few ideas for how to pump the fuel pump, or how to mount the fuel pump and the fuel filter. So instead of doing it back here, I'm just gonna do it under the car. Although the bracket that I had for the fuel pump, when I got it, it was broken at the bottom, so it only has one bolt location, only has one area to actually hold it. So I don't really like that. I'm gonna order another one because I have this one kind of just in place right now holding it up, but I don't really like, it doesn't really feel very secure. For the fuel filter, it shouldn't be too bad because this is a lot lighter. It's not even bolted in right now, but it's, for the weight of it, I think it'll be more than enough. The fuel pump is a lot heavier than the filter itself. So I'm probably gonna order a fuel pump bracket right there and finish this another day. As for the line, I have it being held on various spots under the body using some self-tapper screws and these little like half moon type brackets that I got at Home Depot. I got a whole bag of them, like 25 of them. It was like, I think $5 for the whole package, 1/2 inches. which is basically what I need for Dash 8. And it's really snug around it, but without pinching it. I'll go under the car and show you. So I have one right there. This is where the stock tank normally goes. Then another right there. Then I got one leading up towards the center of the car, another there. And then the one right there. And I have it going towards the engine bay, between the steering rack, the subframe for the steering rack and whatnot, and the body itself. And so you guys can see there's plenty of room right there. This is not getting pinched anywhere. It's nice and spacious. So it has it's enough play so nothing will get kinked, but it's also sturdy enough for nothing to get like hung down or nothing like that. And then that goes from leading right up there. Sorry, I'm sliding on the floor, it's kind of hard. To the pump or the fuel filter bracket right there. Then gets divided for the nitrous feed. The solenoid for the fuel on the nitrous, which I really like that fitting right there, the little T. Probably my favorite part under the engine bay at the moment. And then from there to the fuel rail itself. The drive shaft from the last video. All in place. I had to take the header off because the header, the megaphone on it hits the transfer case, obviously. I'm gonna have to modify that. So there's no header on it. And we wanted to do something different to the header. I wanted to like modify it, put a 90 going out that way, and have it come out somewhere in the bumper area or around that area, maybe like a blowhorn or whatever they call it, like the domestic cars have, under the bumper and then out going up. I'm still waiting on my traction bar to come in, the aftermarket one. I ordered it a couple days ago. So as soon as that's in, I can actually start measuring how we're gonna cut the header and whatnot. That way I have a nice clear travel of it and not have to worry about hitting the traction bar, end links, or any of that stuff. So for under the car, the fuel lines, it's pretty much done. This is nice and snug, not going anywhere. And now we have to just finish the fuel pump brackets. Since I don't have the fuel pump bracket that I want, well, I have that one, but it's broken. I'm gonna order it online. It should be in here in a couple days and I can finish that up. As for the fuel cell itself, I had hinted at the idea of using like little brackets to bolt onto this mount and then bolt onto the actual body in this area right there. I thought it was a pretty good idea, but when we towed the car the other day, this was loosely mounted and it was just kind of knocking around in the back of the car. And just from that, it's already bent all the way up like this on both sides. Here, if I go like right here, you can see the angle better. So it really banged it up. It shows me that this isn't made specifically for support. It's mostly made just to like hold it in place. So I'm kind of hinting at a few ideas right now. This is way too wide, about 5 inches too wide to fit in this hole right here. Since I got a 20-gallon fuel cell, since I want a lot of fuel to be able to drive a lot of places, that's way too big to fit in there. One thing that I was thinking about, I measured out, it's like 50 inches across and then about 30 inches length right there. I could just get like a block of wood and seal this in the back and make it a flat surface, and then just cut out a hole for this area that comes down, and I can have it sit right there and then use these holes just to hold it in place instead of supporting it, which is probably what I'll end up doing. I just have to run to the store one day and grab something, that way I can cut it all out. I wanted to do like a metal sheet, but the sheets that are being sold at like Home Depot and Lowe's for this size, they're really flimsy. They're not always as cheap as wood, obviously. And if I want to get something thick that's not gonna bend, it's gonna weigh a lot. And wood would probably be in the same amount of weight to strength for this kind of thing. So I'm probably just gonna do a block of wood or like a sheet of wood, kind of like the OEM undermat is. If you look at the undermat of like Integras and whatnot, there's that composite like plywood type thing. It's like a thick piece of wood that sits under it and gives really good support. So I'll probably finish that another day. But as for the nitrous kit, we're super happy with how the fuel lines came out here. Once again, big thank you to Travis for hooking it up with the KS Tune spray plate. And this is awesome. I've never used one like this. I've only seen it once or twice before and can't wait to put it to good use. And for this T right here on the fuel, I absolutely love how it looks. That's probably my favorite part and under the engine bay at the moment. And yeah, we have the Burton Racing coil and plug kit being mocked up right now. He's gonna be getting me a plate for the coils in the next week or two. and actually I can start wiring everything in as soon as my wiring harness comes back from Monotech, who was modding a few stuff for the shock tower plugs to be correct and whatnot. So yeah, that should be coming up in the next couple days. As soon as I have that, I already have a valve cover gasket that I'm putting on later today. And once I get the wiring harness, it should be pretty close to start up. I still don't have a starter or a clutch pedal assembly. Since this was originally a cable operated clutch, it has the cable assembly, but they sell adapter plates for the pedal to make it full hydro, which is what I want to do for the transmission activation and whatnot. So just a few more things and the car will be ready to turn on. Not necessarily get tuned immediately, but at least turn on and see everything in action, all-wheel drive. Here we got a 5-speed transmission Accord at the Junkyard. And if you guys follow the all-wheel drive hype for B-Series, you can use the TSX or Accord shifter with cables. If you use a little bracket, hi Shane, hi, onto the transmission, a little bracket adapter. So we came here for some injectors, but I'm gonna pull this while I'm here. It should be just like a 12, a 10, and simple stuff under the car. So I'm gonna pull this real quick, and we can put that on the CRX. So this is so much better than the CRV bracket because, or the box, because it's a lot shorter. The CRV one goes up to like right here, and the box is a lot taller as well. So yeah, and these cables are a lot more readily available than the cables onto the CRV, because nobody really parts out CRVs like they do 5-speed K-Series.
It's weird because my shifter on the RSX one, this is on that side, I think.
Right, that's why you have to flip it.
It has a little arm that sits up.
Yeah.
That does that same motion.
That's why if you use like an RSX style shifter on B-Series, you have to flip an arm on the transmission so it pulls instead of pushes or something.
Oh,
this is like, huh?
That sounds like a headache.
Yeah. So this is basically like a drop-in swap, and you just have to make a bracket to hold the cables onto the transmission itself.
We're gonna get flamed so hard for coming to the Junkyard with a 12mm wrench and a 10mm wrench.
So we came for injectors, which injectors, all I would have needed is this to take off a fuel rail and been fine. But while we're here, I mean, we can take this out. We can make it work. We'll make it work.
That's all that matters, as long as it works.
Yeah. Got the 240cc stock injectors and a VSS plug because I'm going to wire this into the ECU and be able to use electronic VSS instead of the cable OEM one, if that's what it's called, or like the gear driven.
Yeah,
like
the gear driven one on the CRX. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me because I need to do that too.
Let's get another plug.
Yeah, there's not any more OBD1 Hondas around here.
They're all the same.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we could go to that Accord and probably just snip one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Alright, so I know this vlog has kind of been all over the place. It's already spanned about 2 or 3 days. Back from the Junkyard, it's been a couple hours now, and I just wanted to show you side-by-side comparison. This right here is the OEM first-gen CRV shifter. As you can see, it has this really big bend. It's super tall. And then this is the Accord shifter. And it's probably about 3 inches shorter, 2 inches shorter. Not only that, but the throw is a lot better. Obviously, the cables aren't hooked up right now, but just having driven the CRV that I used to have for a while, and also having driven other Accords, you can tell that this box is far superior. A lot of people like to run the billet ones from K-Tuned, and just a simple factor that it's not going to be as high up is already a dead giveaway on how I'm going to feel the benefit from this personally. But when we do the conversion for this and everything, we're going to be able to do a step-by-step video on that as well. Earlier, we went to a speed shop and picked up this Solenoid, which goes for about like $130 online. We actually got it for 30 bucks, so this is a great steal. And we're going to be using the other Solenoid that we had planned, or that came with the kit that we got as the Nitrous Solenoid. We're going to be using this as a Purge inline. So essentially we'll have, let me set this right here. We'll have from the bottle coming to a T, and from the T going to the Purge, and then from the T going to the Solenoid for the Nitrous. So before we do any pulls, we purge out what's in the line itself using this little Purge Solenoid, and then we actually spray the Nitrous through the big boy right here. And yeah, but we're going to be doing the mounting for this as well as the plumbing in another video. As you guys already know, the Nitrous Solenoid for the fuel is already in the engine bay real nice. For the injectors, I already got them sat in there, and I also put the valve cover gasket on there. Hopefully in the next day or two I can get rid of the trailer from inside of the garage and just have this on the jack stands, but it should be all coming together very, very soon. All the basic stuff is on there. The engine harness is on the way. My ECU should be back here, I think tomorrow or day after, and then we can do the whole coil unplug conversion as well, which I already have the harness and the coils right there. And yeah. But that does pretty much sum up the video for today. Thanks for bearing with us. I know this vlog has been kind of all over the place with having started with one thing and then going all over the town and kind of progressing from that point. But if you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. Make sure to hit the like button, and if you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe and notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.